Arrows, I'm Kashawn and you are watching The Book Archer. So today I'm bringing you guys my June and July wrap up. This video is going to be pretty short because I have had probably the two busiest months of this entire year, which sucks because you know usually during the summer that's when you get the most reading done. I have 4 books to show y'all for this whole entire video for June and July. I'm definitely not in a slump or anything, I just haven't had time to read. So we're just going to go ahead and talk about the books that I read over the last 2 months because although it was only 4 books, I enjoyed all of them. The first book that I read over the last 2 months is Amy and Rodgers' Epic Detour by Matson. This was a buddy read with my best friend in real life, Books and Big Hair. I will leave a link down to her channel, but if you're subscribed to me, then you should just automatically be subscribed to her too. This was my first Matson book. I read this in June for the month of Matson. I am so glad that I decided to participate in that because I loved it. Fun fact about me is I have wanderlust really bad, so I just love traveling and I love talking about traveling and I love hearing about other people's traveling escapades, and this was my first time reading a road trip book. I've actually heard of some of these places that they mentioned before, like by watching Food Network and things like that, so I thought it was so cool that every place that they went was real. I also loved how this was a light, fun summer contemporary with just the right amount of depth. This one was the perfect medium and I loved the character development that the main character had. I'm very big on character development in stories. I really enjoy it, so getting to see that throughout the story was really great. So yes, this was 4.5 out of 5 stars for me. The next book I read after that was Siege and Storm by Leigh Bardugo. As you guys know, I started the Grisha trilogy earlier this year when you all voted for me to read Shadow and Bone, and I ended up really enjoying it. Siege and Storm was not what I was expecting, but I mean that in a good way. This story introduced more characters, which I was not expecting. Nikolai, I absolutely love Nikolai's character. I don't know how to explain it. I'll have to discuss it more, but as promised you guys, I will be doing a series review. I recorded my Shadow and Bone review months ago, like fresh off of I read the book, and it's already edited and everything. I'm just waiting to post that at the exact same time that I post the Grisha trilogy review, so people who just want to see the Shadow and Bone review can watch that, and if you want to know my thoughts on the trilogy as a whole, you can watch that video as well. After that, I picked up Silver Linings Playbook by Mathew. I mentioned in my book haul that I read this book. This was my first adult contemporary, I believe, and I loved this. I really liked this a lot. It was so interesting being in this main character's mind because before reading this book, I didn't know that he had some mental health issues going on. And it was so fascinating reading from a perspective of a character who clearly has mental health issues. This book had more depth and more family dynamic than I was even expecting. I watched the movie after that, and it's very different from the book, but not in necessarily a bad way. I enjoyed J-Law no matter what, and of course Bradley Cooper too. I like when they work together, so I still liked the movie, but the book it opened me to a whole different world that I was not expecting to get. The last book that I read in July was Ruin and Writhing, the 3rd and final book in the Grisha trilogy. I have thoughts. Oh man, I have so many thoughts about the ending of this series. I have so many thoughts. Like, the book wasn't bad, the book was great, the ending was good. It was just, I just have to talk about it in my discussion. I definitely understand why some people read this whole trilogy and they're like, oh my god, I hated the ending, I hated the last book. And I also understand why some people read this and they're just like, yes, it was complete perfection. Because the ending of this book wasn't bad. It was just where the author took it in a direction that I didn't necessarily want it to go. I just have to explain that in my discussion video. I really enjoyed the Grisha trilogy. I had zero interest in reading this before, but this definitely is, if you're a fan of like series like Throne of Glass and stuff like that, I can totally see you getting into this, especially if Throne of Glass is too high fantasy for you. So it's not necessarily like for people starting out reading fantasy, but if you just like fantasy, I definitely recommend this trilogy to you. It's one that sticks with you. So if you're looking for a book that's gonna stay with you, then this is the one. Yeah, those are the 4 books that I've read in June and July. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at theBookArcher. What are you reading this month? Have you read any of the books that I mentioned? And are there any videos that you guys want to see from me? Leave it all in the comment section down below. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see y'all in my next video.